Hi everyone, welcome back to the Crafty Author, and we are going to continue with our scrap quilt series. I believe this is number 4. So you can see I've got the scrap quilt put together. I have started adding borders around it. So we did the small border to add length the last time. This time we're putting the big ones on. So what I have done is I've gone ahead and sewn the 3 sides on so far. And I just went ahead and cut my large border at 7 inches. You are welcome to use whatever size you want, whichever one works for you. You can do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But it does add quite a bit of length to the quilt. And so I'm going to go ahead and sew on this last one and get that started. So when you're adding a large border to a quilt, it's really no different than adding the smaller borders. It's the same process. So all I'm going to do is take my larger strip. Now what makes this more difficult is you can see the quilt top is getting much bigger, so it's a little bit harder to maneuver around here. So I like to just make sure that this part of my quilt is completely flat so that when I sew the border on, I don't have any problems. And I'm going to just flip this around to the correct side. And I'm going to make sure that my quilt is picked up and partially on my lap. That way it helps me to keep this a lot flatter. You do not want your quilt draping on the floor because it'll weigh it down and it will make it much harder to sew, and then you'll be fighting your quilt as I sit here and fight with the border. Okay, so I'm just going to line up my edges. I'm going to line up the top. It's okay if you go a little bit over. If you're more comfortable doing that, I'm getting a little more comfortable with lining them up edge to edge. So what I'm going to do, straighten this out because there's a lot of fabric on my lap here. And then I'm just going to line up on the edge of my quilt here, these edges. Like so. And then I am going to flatten that, straighten that out. And then I'm going to just start sewing 1/4 of an inch down. Now I'm using my 1/4 of an inch foot. If you don't have one, you can use it, the markings on your needle plate, or you can mark it with tape. But I highly suggest getting a foot because they are awesome. You're going to want to stop, and you're going to want to make sure that you're right on the edge here, lined up pretty straight, and then just keep going. Okay, so now I have come to this edge and I'm done, and I'm going to cut this part right here, the leftover fabric that I have. And I think I showed you how to do this on a video, a previous video last time. And all I'm going to do is just fold that, and then I'm just going to slide my very sharp scissors right in that fold, and I'm just going to cut it. And that is going to make my, excuse me, my edge. Which I have a brand new ironing board and a brand new iron. So my other iron kind of puked out on me, so I had to buy a new one, which wasn't bad since I've had it for probably about 2 years. And I actually bought it used. So this one is brand new. The blue one was used. But I love these Oliso irons. I am not a spokesperson for them. Personal preference. I love these irons. And so I'm just going to go ahead and give my border here, just a good finger press before I start pressing it with my iron. That way, when I do iron it, it is going to lay much nicer. Okay, so I'm just going to use my fingers to press that out, and I'm pressing it that way towards the dark side. My ironing board, my husband and I made this, and I love it because now I have more room to iron instead of on the actual old ironing board that I used to have. So, and all I did was use, what size board did we use?
3 foot by 4 foot.
So I have a 3 foot by 4 foot board, but what kind of wood was it?
Plywood.
Just plywood. And then I used, I doubled up the batting. So 2 layers of batting and some fabric that I've had in my stash for over 20 years. And yeah, and then we stapled it on the back side, the staple gun. It was really, really easy, and I love it. So you can do your own if you want to, and it's relatively inexpensive. I think we spent $30. Minus the staple gun, of course. We had to buy that. That was a 30 bucks. So, okay. So I've ironed this down. And I'm going to show you. Now remember, I'm really short, so you can see how big this one is. Okay. So this is ready for quilting. I will probably go ahead and give the center another press down just to make sure the quilt's going to lie nice and flat. And then I'm going to come back and I am going to show you how we sandwich all the layers together. And we're just about ready to start quilting this baby. So thank you for joining me today. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Crafty Author. My Instagram is set to private, but if you send me a request, I will accept you. If you have a valid profile picture. If you don't have a valid profile picture, probably not, because I get a lot of really weird requests. You can follow me on my blog, craftyauthor.com. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it. If you have comments or questions, put them down below, and keep on crafting.